Winning a Stanley Cup is hard.
Again, he is right in his analysis.
You gotta have game breakers, you gotta be deep but not expensive, you gotta have goaltending, you gotta have luck, you gotta be borderline insane, you gotta have the stamina of all the best marathoners according to Google put together. After that, yeah, you might win 1 or 2 rounds before another team with more of these passes you and another team with more of these passes them. It's very forgiving. There's a reason one team has successfully defended it since 1998. There's a reason it took these teams decades to win only one. There's a reason Solani and Bork emptied themselves emotionally when they won their first after just 14 and
22 years. Raymond Bork!
For most, it just doesn't happen. And this video is about winning it twice in a row. The thought of playing almost 100 games across 9 months after you just played almost 100 games across 9 months is physically challenging in itself. I can't imagine mentally facing that, especially when you scale the mountain and come out on top. It feels great, and it's tempting to settle in that cloud of complacency and not worry about next season, which is less than 3 months away. Believe it or not everyone on this planet is wired like prime Tiger Woods, and it's why it's essential to have prime core pieces to lean on. You look back at those teams that won and made it back, like Pittsburgh, LA, Chicago, Detroit, and those names just pop. Datsuk, Zetterberg, Taze, Kane, Keith, Kopitar, Doughty, Crosby, Malkin. A supporting cast gets you 1 cup. These guys get you back. Without a prime core, it's much easier to flame out after winning one, obviously. The mid-2000s Red Wings are a great example of this. You look at that roster, Yzerman, Shanahan, Sergei, Igor, Hull, Robitaille, Datsuk, Zetterberg, prepubescent, Lidstrom, Schneider, Chelios. Fuck! These teams took care of the regular season, and on paper, you'd expect them to win another, or maybe even another after 2002.
It's neat to dream of what it could be like next year.
Nightmare, actually. But why? Oh yeah, they were unreal. Duh, of course. You're half right, that's a whole nother video. All good points, valid in their own ways. But what if it's over? No one wants it to end. You want to keep winning for as long as possible to the point where it actually does more harm than good. It's human. You have a job to keep and people to entertain, I understand. But sooner than later, you have to put out the letter. When you're Detroit pre-salary cap with Pizza Planet money, you don't have to do this because you still annihilate ass for 82 games. But in the spring, outside of 2002, the Wings weren't going far since going back-to-back. The game is so fundamentally different in the postseason, and those miles can add up the deeper you go as often as Detroit did. Yzerman, Hull, and Shanahan suddenly don't have the same energy and can't break those traps set by Anaheim, Calgary, or Edmonton. Usually this is where the story ends, but sometimes you just happen to get one of the best duos in history out of the 6th and 7th rounds and win games that matter again for another 3 years. Most times, the next ones don't live up to unlivable hype and you have to finally let it die. Recent times, you convince yourself to sign long-term deals then that you regret now. Speaking of, the salary cap system itself is basically against the idea of defending. Let's go back to Chicago. After winning the Cup in 2010, they had to deal Andrew Ladd, Chris Versteeg, Brent Sopel, positionally ambidextrous God Guy Dustin Byfuglien, good pieces. Yeah, sure, they took a step back, but wasn't long. This just speaks to how well the team drafted, having cheap, effective pieces to plug in on entry-level contracts around the core. Cheap contracts equals more cap space, which allows for deadline deals that can move the needle that extra step, or 14 if you're 2014 Marian Gaborik. Just as an aside, I thought of Jack Eichel during that whole segment, and now I feel really bad again. Please fix this. Elite stars in their primes. Strong, cheap supporting cast. Balanced books. All at once. It's something every organization strives to earn and something that scouting departments don't nearly get enough credit for helping build. But when you pass the preparation, the development, the management, and then the execution of the plan, what is the one underlying drug that drives everything everywhere? You make your own bounces, but a goalie vibin'?
Yeah.
When it all comes together, though, it's magic. Back to Detroit in 2006. Datsuk and Zetterberg mature. Nicholas Kronwall, Yuri Hudler, Valtteri Filppula, and Johan Franzen. 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 Johan Franzen are paid a handsome salary but relatively shit. This team goes back to the Final Four in 07, wins the Stanley Cup in 08, and in 09. We all fall over trying to comprehend how good these two were at scoring goals. At least I do, it's a reflex. But these two just owned the neutral zone. It was a different game after 2005, but the way these twos just zoomed the puck through the middle was so incredibly precise and fast, the league had no answer at the start, at least. This competitive advantage in controlling the middle of the ice is something all these teams executed to perfection both ways. Kane was a viper between the lines, and Keith was a beast at joining the rush. Kopitar and friends pulled a jersey and stole the middle with a heavy, suffocating game that could stretch the ice if need be, because prime Drew Doughty did this, and it was so fun. Crosby and Malkin with fast wingers did everything a little bit faster. It makes sense. There were great teams I haven't even mentioned that had all the ingredients and only won one or none. That just underscores how difficult it is to truly win this thing and then pack it all up and do it again tomorrow. Shit's hard, and even harder to build from the ground up, especially when you can't even tank anymore. Thank you! With something that's rare, though, it does admittedly make the reward that much more special when it does happen. But I prefer it not happen like this because this was totally bullshit and needs to be fixed. Ow, that hurt. Big time. Ow, that hurt.